Welcome to another episode of Reading Taste Match, a series on my channel where I see how much my reading taste lines up with other booktubers. To do this, we swap 3 books, 2 we loved, 1 we did not, and see how our taste lines up. Sometimes we do a buddy read. We will be doing one in this episode. I'm so excited for this round with Jordyn from Sorry Booked Solid. This one is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. Poor Jordyn, I have put her through it. She's been a co-host for my readathon in May, Escape the Readathon, for the past 2 years. And I do this video where I ask the co-hosts to recommend me a book based on specific things. Both ones she's given me, I have DNF'd, but I'm curious if she's learned anything from that. No pressure! So, we are going to watch the video, see what books Jordyn picked for me. I'm very excited. We do have overlap in what we read, primarily thrillers and actually sci-fi. If you look at her all-time favorite books, I think that's where I was looking, on Goodreads versus mine, we have a lot of sci-fi favorites. So I'm kind of hoping she gives me one of those. Well, not ones that I've read. Actually, no, just kidding. There might be a thriller in here. I'm a little scared if there's some historical fiction. I know she loves it. And like, I've enjoyed some that's a blend with it, so we will see.
Okay, hi Lexi. Thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this video. I'm very excited, very intrigued. I want to say I'm confident because I feel like I have a good grasp on your reading tastes, and I also want to say we have similar reading tastes, but you have humbled me in the past. You have DNF'd my specific book recommendations not once, but twice in the past. And no hard feelings, I am a firm believer that not every book is for every person, but that has definitely toned down my expectations for this video. So I figured instead of trying to come up with the perfect books that I think you're absolutely gonna love, I'm just gonna pick some books that I really want to hear your thoughts on. And we will just see if we actually do have similar reading tastes or if we're just destined to disagree on every book that we read for videos together. I don't know, I'm excited to find out either way. So here are the 3 books that I'm recommending to you for this video. First, we've got Never Let You Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I believe we've both read this author in the past, and I think we both enjoyed Clara and the Sun. But I'm very excited to get your take on this book, which I think is this author's more well-known book out of their backlist. In my opinion, this has become somewhat of a modern classic within the sci-fi genre. This book is kind of a genre blend between sci-fi and dystopian, and that's all I'll say on it because I do think the intrigue about what's going on is part of the experience of reading the book, is that you figure that out on your own. The second book I have for you is American Rapture by CJ Lead, which is also an author I believe you've read in the past. This was my first experience with this author though, and this is kind of a horror sci-fi blend that follows a main character in the middle of kind of a survival story when a virus outbreak happens and she has to kind of go out on her own and do what she can to survive this really horrific situation. And then the third book I have for you, I'm realizing, is also a genre blend, which I think is a good strategy with you. I know you like genre blends, but this last one is The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schrafer. This is a sci-fi romance mix. It is set in space, it follows queer main characters, and it's another one where finding out what's going on is kind of part of the experience of reading the book. So those are my 3 picks. Very excited and anxious to hear what you think about them. But thank you again for allowing me to take part in this video, and I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, wait. Okay, I was not expecting any of those, actually. Where's my book? I do own American Rapture, and I have a signed copy. Look at Aardvark go. I gave Mayfly 3.5 stars. There were aspects of this, not this one, this is not Mayfly, of Mayfly that I really loved and others that I didn't, so I'm so curious about this one. This is a sci-fi heavy episode. Okay, yes, I did enjoy Clara and the Sun. I gave it 3.5 or 4 stars, so not an all-time favorite, but something that I really enjoyed. And what was the last one? I already forget. Oh, the Darkness, whatever, I know what it is. Is that on YA? That's one that I'm aware of, but hasn't really been on my radar. So, okay. Okay. To add to the sci-fi-ness of this video, we will also be buddy reading The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. This is a sci-fi thriller that I am so excited about. I'm gonna collect the books, and once I have them, I will start reading, but I'm really excited. I am scared. I'm really scared. So I love Jordyn's channel. I love her content. I love the way she talks about books, but we have beef. And by beef, I mean Jordyn has beef with me because I have asked her multiple times to recommend me books, and she's given them 5 stars, and I've DNF'd them. And then one time I read a book. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the fact that I said that we have beef. Anyway, one time then I was like, I am going to read one of her favorites for a booktuber favorites video, because then I have more control and it can be something that I know I want to read. And I enjoyed it, but I gave one of her like favorites of the year like 3.5 stars, which I liked but wasn't obsessed with it. But the way she talks about books is so compelling. I love it. I love Jordyn's channel. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do so. Here is the thing. I am going to I'm gonna continue this trend of DNFing books. I'm pretty sure Jordyn likes this one. I have started I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I started The Darkness Outside Us. This is a YA sci-fi romance, and I don't like the writing, which actually tends to be the case in every book that I've DNF'd that Jordyn loves. This one is very different from the others that she has recommended me, though. I think she learned to not recommend me books like those. So in this one, we are following, oh, I forget their names, Ambrose and Kodiak. So there's 2 teenage boys on this trip. I think they're older teenagers. And then there's this like AI on the ship. Ambrose, his mom's voice was used for things. Okay, back up. The plot of this book is that Ambrose wakes up on this ship and he expects to be completely alone. So he wakes up and he has no memory of really what is going on. He's on the coordinated endeavor with no memory, and it doesn't add up because it seems like there's been someone else on board. Then he finds out that somebody else is on board, and this is Kodiak. The AI, like, ship operating system has the same voice as his mom, which is just odd. And then he does find out that Kodiak is on this ship, but he's barricaded from him, and they have very minimal interaction. Kodiak is very grumpy, doesn't really want anything to do with Ambrose, and their relationship is fun. This is going to be a romance between Ambrose and Kodiak. I like their banter. I like how grumpy Kodiak is, but I haven't really gotten into all of that because I just don't like the writing, and I don't care about anything that is going on because of that. And I don't want to force myself to read this knowing that even if things get more interesting for me, I'm not going to care because I wasn't invested from the beginning. So in theory, they have to work together because they need to save this like big overall sci-fi plot, and then also something to do with Ambrose's sister. I think that this has potential. A lot of people love this. It is very highly rated, and I think that the plot is okay, even though it's not my favorite. I just can't connect to the book because of the writing. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're on spaceships. It has nothing to do with this relationship. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's literally just the overall everything I don't care about because I don't like the way that it's written. And I don't really know how to exactly put my finger on what that is, but I'm just not loving it. I give it a good go. I am 80 pages in, which is 22%. And I was hoping that maybe I would like settle into the writing, adjust to it more, and become more invested. And the more I read, the more I'm like, I don't care. I don't have any need to know about a single thing that's happening. And that's really, really sad. The reason that I'm pretty sure Jordyn liked this is because I think she just read the second one recently in a video. Well, sometime this year. So, sorry, Jordyn, don't hate me. Next up, we are going to move into our buddy read of The Once and Future Me, which I'm really excited about. This is one that I suggested, so if we hate it, it's on me. I got it from Aardvark. I think Jordyn also got it from Aardvark, and it is a sci-fi thriller. Very, very heavy sci-fi themed vlog, which I don't read a lot of, but some of my all-time favorite books are sci-fi. And some of Jordyn's are too, so I will talk about that a little bit later. Jordyn and I don't line up on a lot of things, but we do tend to on some of our favorites, especially the sci-fi ones. Hi, I am obviously in the car, and I am 33% into the Once and Future Me. I had to come pick up a hold, well, not a hold, I guess. I like pre-ordered this special edition, deluxe edition, whatever, of Sunrise on the Reaping. It is beautiful and I needed it. One of my favorite books of the year, one of my top favorite series. So I needed to pick this up. Also, Cookie Butter Cold Brew is back at Dunkin', so I needed to get that because that is my favorite. This is so pretty. I'll talk to you in a second about the actual book that I'm reading. I don't love when there's text on the side of this, but this is really pretty, and it even has end papers. I think they're the same in the front and back. Yeah, but this is just so pretty, and the series is just very relevant and sad, and this book has a lot of really good things to say about a lot of things that are going on. Okay, so the Once and Future Me, I'm not loving. I, for a while, was like, I don't know what's going on. So I read the synopsis when I got the book from Aardvark. So that was quite a while ago, and I was like, yeah, it's sci-fi thriller, I'm down, and then forgot about everything. So I didn't know what was going on. We are dropped in and we are following this woman named Dorothy in like 1950s in this asylum, and she doesn't believe it, but she's told that there was this like altercation, and there's this thing with this woman on a train that she's like, well, she got off the stop, but it turns out it's her, and it's a very confusing thing. So I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And then we're just watching her try to figure out what's going on. And I usually kind of enjoy this amnesia kind of trope, but in this one, I feel like it's not working for me. We now have learned that possibly maybe she's a time traveler. So she gets in this situation where she then wakes up and she is in 2035, and she has gone back in time apparently to get this like thing from this doctor because they're trying to prevent something from happening. And that is the part that then makes it interesting, because it is, I think, at least 10 chapters in before that happens, and up until then I'm like, I just don't care about what's going on. So then that adds a little bit of intrigue, but I feel like there's barely any intrigue in this whole book, and that's kind of what's ruining it for me. I think that there could be different things that are happening that would make me feel invested, and I don't care about anything. I don't think that the asylum feels sinister enough for me, and like it obviously is, but the way it's written, like, not that I want it to be a horror book, but I just want it to be more, I don't know, because there is discussion on how women are treated in places like this, how gay people are treated in things like this, like acting like it is a like mental illness to be attracted to somebody that is the same sex as you, and that just is frustrating. But I wish we were like going deeper into those things, and I understand why we're not, because a lot of the times our main character is sedated and she's waking up and like not seeing everything. But I just wish that she was discovering some of these things from observation versus things happening to her, so that we could kind of feel the emotions she's feeling. I also am confused about what's going on, because she's waking up as Dorothy. She has people that like actually know her, all this stuff. So like, is it just her mind that is time traveling? Because like, there's literally no way that this asylum patient can just disappear. So it's not like her actual self, like her body, is going back and forth between these two times. So then what's going on with Dorothy if our main character, I can't remember her name, but she has a different name in the present, which is, we're assuming, is supposed to be her true self. So I don't know. I feel like there's some things missing from it. I like it in theory, but in execution, I'm not obsessed. Jordyn and I are kind of on the same page about this. Like, it's a bit of a slog to get through, and I don't love that. I want this to be more exciting, more thrilling, and I feel like we're not getting enough intrigue with really anything for that to be the case. Okay, I was continuing to listen to the audiobook when I was driving home, doing some laundry, some stuff. So I need to figure out where I am, but I am 66% in. I just got to chapter 7, nope, 37, which is 300, I can't read, 241 pages in. I'm not really liking this. This is so boring. There is so much potential, but nothing is happening. And the thing that does start happening is just gaslighting. That's all we're doing, and it is frustrating. I feel like there's no tension, and it's even more annoying because there's a lot of potential for there to be tension. There's some confusing moments in here, and overall I just feel like it is really boring. I don't really like it. I am going back and forth between DNFing and not, but I'm probably not going to just because it is the buddy read. If I was reading this on my own, I would not be reading it anymore. So I don't know why I'm continuing to read it. I'm just like curious at this point, but the back of this saying it's thrilling. I don't agree. Psychological thriller. Okay, here's the thing. There's a lot of psychological elements in this in theory, but nothing is explored because our main character is not aware of what's going on, and she's not awake for a lot of it either. And then when she is more, I just feel like she's so accepting of things, and it's just a very frustrating read. I'm not loving it. I don't like our main character. I mean, she's like fine. I don't have any thoughts about her, I guess, is a more accurate way to say that. Nothing is engaging, nothing is entertaining. Even when we're finally getting answers, I still feel like we're not getting the answers that I want. And I don't know if those things that I want to know are going to be explained by the end of this. I wish that this was swapped and more set in the future time versus the past. This is very historical fiction within this asylum. I really don't love it. So that's all I have to say. I think Jordyn might be liking it slightly more than me, but this is not a successful buddy read, and I'm really sad. Hello. I have finished the Once and Future Me, and gonna give it 2 stars. This is so unfortunate. Okay, so the last third of this book I do think was the best part, but because I did not care about a single thing leading up to it, I just could never get invested. I do think it was interesting enough, but I think that this could have been done in a way that I would have really enjoyed, because if everything that was going on at the end that did happen to be more set in the future was integrated throughout the story before that part, I think that it would have given me something to grab onto. The thing is, the plot wasn't interesting and the characters weren't interesting, and the exploration of everything was pretty non-existent. So I truly had nothing to care about until the end, and I am not somebody that can become invested at the end. I have to be invested, or at least intrigued, way earlier on. So if you're not aware, my rating system is 1 star a book I like actively really disliked, 2 stars is a book I disliked but mostly because it was boring, 3 stars is a book that I enjoyed but I had more specific issues with it, 4 stars is a book that I had such a fun time with, would really recommend. I also would recommend 3 stars, sometimes 2-star books too. 4 stars are just like such a fun time, but I had 1 or 2 things that maybe kept it from being 5 stars, or I just didn't get that feeling. 5 stars are my favorite books I'm obsessed with. I don't necessarily think that they are perfect or that everybody's going to love them, but I had a really fun time. I do rate very emotionally. I rate based on my experience reading it, not the literary merit of the book. I think also that I had very unfulfilled expectations of the book based on the synopsis. I really thought this was going to be fast-paced and very focused on like the time travel and stuff, and we weren't getting that. There's this talk of this mission and these realities and not knowing what is what, and she was just too accepting of everything in the past timeline. There was no point where she really was trying to get to the bottom of what was going on. And with that, we ended up not getting explanation for things. Like, I still don't understand how certain things worked, and I'm not somebody that needs explanation on a lot of things, but when things don't make sense, I need an explanation. So this didn't make sense. It's not that we just like didn't get an answer, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of people still want answers, but like, I love an ambiguous ending. I don't need everything explained to me. But when it makes things confusing, I do. And not in an intentional confusing way, because sometimes that does work for me too. So while I did enjoy the end of this book more, I still didn't really care about what was going on. I wish that the characters were better. I could have liked it more throughout if there was like interesting things going on with the characters, but the way she was reacting to things I didn't love, and I just didn't love the way the story itself was told. Also, there were some really weird comments throughout this that Jordyn and I talked about, and we were like, that's odd in this book. Like, it feels really, really weird and out of place. So I did really enjoy my buddy read experience. I loved reading this with Jordyn. Sadly, neither of us loved it, but you'll have to watch her video for her full thoughts on it. This just wasn't for me, and I'm sad about it. I really was going to DNF this, but I pushed through because I didn't like the first book. It's fine. It's fine. Next up, I'm going to read one that I was most nervous about going into it, even though I have read and enjoyed from the author previously, Never Let Me Go. The lighting in this room is kind of harsh, but like I actually can't do anything about it. I have made it to part 2 of Never Let Me Go. This is an older book, so I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about that. Part 2 is 35% in, so I made it pretty far. I'm gonna have to DNF. I am so sorry. I don't like to DNF in these videos specifically. I'll DNF in any other video, but whenever somebody is taking the time to like do a whole collab video with me, I feel really bad. But I've been trying to read this book for 3 days, and I read a tiny bit and I'm like, oh, I can't do this right now. And then I finally convinced myself to pick it up again. And then I'm like, oh, I really can't. I can't read this. I'm bored. I don't care about a single thing that's happening. I have no idea what's going on. So in this, it starts off and we are following Kathy H. And she's 31 years old, and she is a carer for 11 years. And then pretty much she goes into all this detail about things that have happened to her in the past. She spent a lot of her childhood living at this like boarding school, and we are watching all of these situations with her and her friend group. And I don't care at all about what's going on. This is such a character-focused book. We aren't getting anything of interest. I don't like following stories like this, honestly. It's a literary sci-fi. I don't tend to love literary fiction. If I do, it is almost exclusively paired with horror when I do like it. I think I gave this author's book, Clara and the Sun, 3.5 or 4 stars. I did like it. That one just read more compelling to me. This one is just like very conversational, which might be how Clara and the Sun was, but I cannot remember. But like in this circumstance with the friend group and all these interactions, I just don't like it. Like truly every single thing that's happening, I'm like, okay. And I also don't really love the way that certain characters are treated, and I understand that children in like a boarding school situation aren't all gonna be nice to each other, but like I don't know. I don't like it. And I know that's part of the conversation, and this is supposed to be this like study on this friend group and all of this stuff, but like I just wanted to kind of bang my head on something when I was reading it because I didn't care. And I don't want to not read because I don't want to pick up the specific book that I'm reading, and it is the book that is doing that. It's not that I am just like, oh, maybe I don't want to read. I mean, today maybe because I have been feeling kind of sick, but I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry to Jordyn. I'm sorry to all of you. I feel like I should not DNF because I already DNF'd the first book. I really wanted to DNF the buddy read, but I felt bad because it was the buddy read and because I had already DNF'd the book before. So I was like, I can't. And now I'm really glad I didn't DNF that one because I'm DNFing this one, and I can't have all DNFs in this video. I just cannot. So here's the thing. I have saved the best, I don't know, the one I'm most excited for last, which is American Rapture, just in case you forgot. But this one is horror with some sci-fi in it. I did give Mayfly 3.5 stars. I liked a lot of aspects of it. Others I wish were a little bit different, but it was like, it wasn't a writing style. It was like, I don't want to read this. So I have really high hopes for American Rapture. Please let it keep my attention. I'm just kind of scared at this point. I am 126 pages into American Rapture, and finally I'm not getting to DNF a book. I'm so happy about it. And oh, truly, I'm just like, I don't think I would have survived if I also wasn't liking this book. And so far, I definitely am. I've been listening to the audiobook. I had to go to the library and pick up some very exciting books for my next video. Might be reading the horror books for the Goodreads Choice Awards, all of the ones left that I have not read yet. So I had a couple I needed to pick up. I was listening to this on the way there, back while doing some other things. So this is my second book from CJ Lead. I read Mayfly, I guess 2 years ago is when it came out, right? I think that makes sense. I read it then, and I think I gave it 3.5 stars. There were aspects that I really liked, and then some that I didn't. It was too just like in the character's head for my personal preference. And this one definitely is still in the character's head, but I feel like things are happening outside of that. It's not the most like plot heavy book, but there's definitely things that are keeping the story moving. So in this we are following Sophie, and she is raised in a Catholic church. Her parents are very, very strict, very extreme. And she has a brother that we know something has happened to, like his door is closed. They're acting like he just like doesn't exist anymore. So she has a lot of tough feelings with whatever happened with her and her brother, which we do know about by this point, and yikes. So Sophie, for the longest time, pretty much only could go to church and school was at her house. She was homeschooled. And then a pastor was like, hey, she should get some more social interaction. So her parents finally allowed her to start going to school. And she is in high school at this point. A lot of the interactions that happen at school are things that shock her, but she has always very much felt so much guilt from all of the things her parents have taught her. There is so much conversation in this book about how females are treated in churches in general. This is specifically talking about the Catholic Church, but as somebody that grew up in a church, not a Catholic church, a lot of these things like feel relevant still. So I am wouldn't say I'm loving the discussions on that, but I find them frustrating, but also not healing, but I don't know, just seeing these things discussed. And like, I logically know I'm not the only one that grew up feeling targeted by the church for whatever reason. Even if I wasn't doing anything, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm doing something wrong because you're saying that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. And even if things don't apply, like I very much felt like I was not good enough. And that's not everybody's experience with church, but it is mine. So it's very extreme in here, and I don't relate to it that much, but like the little amounts of feelings that I have had that relate to this character definitely make this more engaging for me. So I'm liking the discussion in here on that. We are seeing her observe things in the world that challenge what she has been taught. And then we're also getting very direct conversations from her parents about why things are the way that they are for them. And it's really sad to see the way that trauma can impact people and cause very extreme views of things. So like, I get it, but also it's so frustrating to read. Also, there's an apocalypse, but the first part of this was not really focused on that. It was focused on her religious trauma and kind of coming into the world a little bit more. So the synopsis says a virus is spreading across America, transforming the infected and making them feral with lust. That is not really observed by Sophie until later on, but it's been very, very interesting to read. Wasn't expecting that, but it deals with a lot of the conversations that have been had surrounding religion and things that are natural, but the church likes to place blame on, if that makes sense. So Sophie was sheltered from this. Everything that's been happening has been happening for a while. It's just getting worse now, and she is being exposed to things. So she is trying to survive and save her brother. And along the way, she discovers there are far worse fates than dying a virgin. I also have a signed copy from Aardvark, which is very exciting. So I am really excited to get back into this one. It's gonna start getting more action-packed and on the move, and I'm a little nervous for that because I don't tend to love stories where characters are just like running around, running from things. But I'm still hopeful. I think I could still like it. And I don't hate books like that. I usually give them 3 to 3.5 stars. So I would still be very happy with that rating. But I'm hoping with the discussions surrounding religious trauma in this as well, it'll end up really working for me. I stayed up until 2 a.m. reading my book, and I'm having the best time with it, and I don't even know why. Okay, not that I don't know why. Sorry, Nova's trying to get into the window, so she's messing with the blinds right now. I'm also setting up something for my Goodreads Choice Awards video. By something, I mean I'm just gonna determine the order by pulling them out of a jar. So I have these pieces of paper that I got for journaling that I just am not using, so I figured I would fold them up. I will be talking about all of the books that I have previously read too, so I will be talking about all 20 of the horror books, even though I won't be actively reading 20 of them in the video. So, American Rapture. It does feel like a very different book from the first third of it. So, in the first third, we're very much exploring her religious trauma. And in the second third, I'm 66% in. I don't know what page that's on. Don't steal my papers, Nova. I was reading it on my Kindle and listening to the audiobook before bed. This book is on KU. So I was doing that instead of reading my physical copy. So the first third really explores her religious trauma. And while that does impact and influence things that happen in the second third, she's not like as actively discussing it because now she's aware of this apocalypse. And this is like a combination of these viruses that they have had for a while. It just really makes people like want to do it, you know? They are very like aggressive to the point of like eating faces. Like they need to get it on, and that's just crazy. So we are watching Sophie try to survive and get to her brother. She has found herself with this guy. He is a cop and he is helping protect her. So we are following them trying to survive. They do end up getting to this like vaccination center that kind of puts them in a bigger group, which I appreciate because we get more information that way, and there's just like more going on and we don't feel as in the dark. And sometimes I do like being in the dark in these things, but I have found that I have real issues with a lot of dystopian books because I find them too like following one character and their thoughts. I don't mind it if it's like following a character and them like interacting with other people, but if it's just one person kind of walking around trying to do things, don't love that. It's hard because like I really enjoyed some like slower moving dystopian books, like end of the world apocalypse kind of things. Like I liked, what's the one by Alam Room, what is that called? I don't remember. If I think of it, I will put it on the screen. So I liked that one. I liked Bird Box, but those ones are more of a group. It's hard because like it's not that my thing is I want answers, but I just feel like sometimes dystopian books can be extremely dry and nothing is happening, and I am not finding that to be the case for this one. I have seen a lot of people that have complaints with this one don't like the writing style because it's very choppy, and it's working for me. I am so engaged, and there's been moments where I'm stressed. I'm so stressed because what's going to happen? I do think our main character survives some situations that do not make sense. In the real world, she'd be gone. There's actually no way, but it's not bothering me. I feel like in these life or death apocalypse situations, the person you're following is going to have to encounter things to make it interesting, but they're going to survive, especially if you're not following multiple people. So I think it's fun. I like it. I think that the characters are interesting enough. Her religious upbringing does impact a lot of like the reasons she's doing things still. So I'm liking that. I like the introduction of the new characters that we got in the second third from the whole vaccination center thing. And I'm curious to see where the end of this goes. I am aware of one thing that's going to happen because it's like a big trigger warning for people, and I'm nervous for that. So if I come back here and I'm crying, leave me alone. I am nervous for that, especially because there's already been some tension within that. I will spoil it not spoil it, but like I will say what that is later because I know it's a thing that a lot of people don't want to read, and I don't want to read it, but I'm okay to read it. So here we go. Gotta prepare myself. I need to go pick up my groceries before I likely cry because I don't want to be sobbing in the grocery store parking lot and then have someone bring my groceries to me. Jordyn, I am coming for you. This is so rude. I didn't make it. I didn't survive. I didn't survive the apocalypse. Listen, that was devastating and offensive. And how am I supposed to sit up, you know? I was over here thinking, oh, Jordyn recommended me this book. It can't be that bad. And then I'm over here sobbing aggressively. Like, what do you mean, Jordyn? Why did you do this to me? I know I owned the book, but like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Can I sit up? I don't know, maybe. No. I just actually can't believe everything that just happened in the end of this. Here's the thing. Okay, maybe one thing is not, but like, it's the way it should have gone, because it would have been even more unrealistic than the main character surviving everything if every single person that she interacted with and became close with and was like allied with in a life or death zombie apocalypse situation would have survived. It's just like, I would have been more annoyed, I think, if it would have been, oh, and everybody lived happily ever after. I think that some people are going to hate the ending of this because we don't really know what truly caused this. We don't get a lot of answers that I think a lot of people might want. And I feel like you don't get them in an apocalypse book usually. I mean, there are some times that you do, but yeah. Okay, I guess I'm prepared to sit up now. This was truly devastating. I needed to go hug my animals when I finished this. That being said, there is a very, very big content warning, trigger warning for a death of an animal, specifically a dog. I think it's pretty obvious the whole time that it's going to happen. So I don't think that it's a spoiler. I knew that it was coming and was still distraught. Which, and I'm not like actually annoyed with Jordyn. I am not somebody that won't read it, but it always gets me. Like, I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad it's in the book. The thing is that like pets and animals can bring so much to your life that it's an extra emotional impact when things happen to them, especially in horror books. Like, I get it. I'm not saying that people have to read it if they don't want to, but I don't think that there should be this like blanket rule that there can't be anything involving animals in books, but it is in there for people that don't want to read it. What am I going to rate this? I'm between 4.5 and 5 stars. I really ended up being surprised by this. A lot of apocalypse end of the world books have not worked for me recently, or they've been very average. There are some that I like, but usually they are just too like in one character's mind for me, and this one is as well, but I was just very invested in the conversations, really. I think that this had a lot of good things to say about how religion can be used to treat other people. I am not saying that religion is bad, that everybody that believes in any sort of religious thing is bad or they are wrong, but I do think that a lot of the things that churches teach can lead towards people being very, very hateful. And it's really just towards people that are trying to exist and be who they are, and I don't like that. So yeah, I really liked the discussions in here, the commentary on religion, and really how growing up with a lot of these feelings can impact you and society. I would recommend this to anyone that likes religious horror. I would recommend it to anybody that likes apocalypse kind of stuff. It is a little more like choppy, disjointed writing style, which I didn't mind, and I feel like it made sense for me with the character that we are following. I really, really ended up loving this. I thought I would like it, but not quite this much, if we're being honest, because Mayfly was just kind of okay for me with the 3.5 star rating. I'm very glad that I read this. I'm so glad that I got a signed copy from Aardvark when they offered that. And I'm glad Jordyn pushed me to read this, because this is one that I was like kind of avoiding, even though I owned it. So that being said, most of this video was a disaster, but let's talk about the comparison. Okay, so on Goodreads, Jordyn rated American Rapture 4 stars, and I honestly am still really torn between 4.5 and 5 stars, so it will be on Storygraph when I decide, but I would say that especially for a horror book, this is one that Jordyn really liked. It's one that I really liked, so I feel like that lines up. And then Jordyn gave Never Let Me Go 2 stars, and I DNF'd. I do think it would have been a 2-star read for me if I had finished it. And then The Darkness Outside Us, I also DNF'd, and Jordyn gave this one 5 stars. I was almost positive that this was her favorite book of the video, and then you'll have to watch hers to get her final rating on the Once and Future Me, but I know we felt similarly enough. So I would say a half, no, actually 3/4 success rate, because we both disliked the same book and both really liked the one and felt the same about the buddy read. We were just completely opposite on her favorite book that she recommended me. So that is nothing new. If you are interested in seeing the videos where I read books that Jordyn loved, I will have them linked. There's 3 of them total. Seriously, check out Jordyn's channel, watch her video. She has a video reading 3 books that I recommended her. 2 I loved, 1 I did not, and then the buddy read as well. Jordyn and I have usually fairly opposite taste, if we're being honest. I thought this would be a very fun experiment. It didn't really go great for me, but that's fine. I still really love Jordyn's channel and would highly recommend. So if you have anybody you would like to see me do this with in the future, let me know in the comments. If you made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you were here, you can leave me a fire emoji for American Rapture. Here is a playlist with all of the videos in this series that I have done, including the ones that other booktubers have done, and here is Jordyn's video specifically. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!